My sister accused me of betrayal after I cut off her money, so I sold the car I gave her that night and left away free now. My sister called me selfish after I stopped paying her bills, and now her husband was threatening me. I laughed and sold their car. At family dinner I shocked them, and then my parents. I never expected things to go the way they did, especially with Amy, my sister, and her husband. For 7 years I had been helping her pay her bills. For 7 years I paid their rent when they fell behind. I paid for the children's school clothes, sent extra money when there was an emergency, and helped with everything in between. I did not really think much about it. I figured she is my little sister, you take care of your family. Meanwhile, her husband, Matt, was always off doing God knows what. Technically, he was between jobs always, but somehow he managed to spend a lot of time at the casino. He would always swear that he was on the verge of a big change, that he had clues about work, and that things were going to get better. Amy believed him every time. But deep down, I think she relied on me more than she would ever admit. She always knew I would be there for her. I guess for her I was the safety net that would never break. But that safety net started to fray when I met Lauren. She saw through the whole situation. We had only been dating a few months when she asked me one night, "Why are you working yourself to death just to support someone else's family?" At first I was defensive. I told her it was not like that I was not working for her. But she just gave me this look like, "Come on, Ethan." And that is when it hit me. I had been making sacrifices, big sacrifices, for years without realizing how much it was costing me. I was not saving like I should have. I had my own goals, dreams, plans, but they were always on hold because I could not say no to my sister. Lauren made me realize it was time to change. So, I did. I went to Amy's house to tell her and Matt that I was not going to send them any more money. I was not expecting a thank you or anything, but I was not expecting what came next. As soon as I told her, Amy lost it. She screamed at me and called me selfish. She said, "I was acting like a stranger, not a brother. You have always helped us. Why are you stopping now? What is wrong with you? You cannot just abandon your family like that." I tried to explain that I was not abandoning anyone, that I had to focus on my own future, but she would not listen. That is when Matt walked in. He must have overheard part of the conversation because he came right up to me and said, "Are you kidding me, man? Keep paying. She is your little sister. Who else but you? You know it is not nice to ask your parents for money." That was his big point. It was not about how they would find another solution or make things work without my help. No, he just expected me to carry on as usual. He acted like it was my responsibility forever, like supporting them had become my job. I laughed. I could not help it. "You have got some nerve," I told him. "You do not work, you waste money in the casino, and you expect me to finance your life? Nah, I am done." Then I hit him with the kicker. "Oh, and by the way, I am selling the car I bought you. Since you do not have the money for the payments, you can start walking." They both started yelling at me. Amy begged me not to do it, saying I was being cruel. Matt started cursing at me, acting like he wanted to fight me. I did not even flinch. I told them, "Sorry, but I have a wife now. I have to think about my future, about my children, and my business. I am not sending you $600 a month until I am in my grave." I walked out while they were still screaming. I had never felt so free. 2 days later, my parents called. They said we needed to have a serious talk and invited me to a family dinner. I knew what was coming. They were going to try to pressure me to change my mind. Before I left, Lauren told me, "Do not let them guilt you. Be above them." She was right, but I was not ready for how crazy things were going to get. I showed up at my parents' house that evening, expecting to be ambushed. Sure enough, when I walked into the dining room, Amy and Matt were already there. My parents were sitting quietly at the table as if this was some kind of intervention. The tension was thick enough to choke on. Amy wasted no time. "Ethan, you cannot be serious," she began, her voice shaking. "You really want to sell our car? How are we supposed to get the children to school?" Matt jumped in, trying to play the victim card. "We are struggling, man, you know that. You have always helped us. What has changed? You have got plenty of money. Why cannot you help a little longer?" I leaned back in my chair and shook my head. "Plenty of money?" I asked. "You think working 60-hour weeks, giving up my weekends, and not taking vacations means I have plenty of money? You have no idea what it takes to keep things running on my end." "You are acting like a stranger," Amy snapped, "not a brother." Matt followed with his usual nonsense. "You are being cold, man. Family does not turn its back on family." I looked at my parents, who were still sitting there in silence. I could tell they were waiting for me to just give in. I had always been the good son, the one who did not rock the boat, but this time I was not going to cave. "Here is the deal," I said calmly but firmly. I am picking up the car tomorrow. I have got a buyer lined up, and once that is done, I am out. No more money, no more bills, nothing. That is when Amy broke down in tears. She began begging our parents to intervene. You cannot let him do this to us. Please tell him he cannot just leave us. I thought my parents would take her side. My dad cleared his throat and finally spoke. Amy, Matt, Ethan is right. The room fell silent. I could not believe it, neither could Amy nor Matt. What? Amy gasped. You used him, my mom added. It is not right. He has done enough for you. It is time for the two of you to figure things out on your own. Matt's face turned bright red. He stood up and pounded his fist on the table. Are you serious? You are really going to cut us off like this after everything? Everything? I repeated. Matt, the only thing you have done consistently is lose money at the casino and make promises you cannot keep. You want support? Start supporting yourself. He glared at me, then at my parents. You are all a bunch of selfish... Careful, I interrupted. I stood up and took a step toward him. This is what is going to happen. You are going to hand over the car keys, or I am going to make sure you leave here in an ambulance. Your choice. Matt froze. For once, he did not have a comeback. He reached into his pocket, pulled out the keys, and threw them on the table. Smart move, I said. Amy was still crying, but my parents were not moving. My dad crossed his arms. You need to leave now, both of you. You cannot do that, Amy cried. You are our parents, and Ethan is our son too. My mother replied, You have used him long enough. Matt looked like he was going to argue, but he must have realized he was outnumbered. He grabbed Amy's arm and they both stormed out. I heard them muttering as they hailed a cab. After they were gone, the room felt lighter. My parents finally seemed to understand how bad things had gotten. We should have done this years ago, Dad said with a sigh. I am proud of you for standing up for yourself, Ethan. It was the first time I had ever heard him say that. I was not expecting it, but it hit me harder than anything else that night. The morning after the family dinner, I went straight to Amy and Matt's house to pick up the car. I half expected them to try some last-minute stunt, but when I got there, Matt was just standing on the porch with his arms crossed, glaring at me like he wanted to burn a hole through my skull. He did not say anything as I took the keys from him and got into the car. Amy was not even outside. Maybe she could not face it. I started the engine, rolled down the window, and gave Matt one last look. This was never supposed to be a permanent arrangement. You should have planned for this day. He did not respond, just clenched his jaw and watched me drive away. I sold the car later that day, handed the title to the buyer, and felt a small wave of relief. Another piece of their entitlement gone. But of course, people like Matt and Amy do not back down that easily. My phone buzzed that afternoon. It was my mom. I could hear the tension in her voice. Ethan, we need to talk, she said. What is going on? I asked, although I already had a sinking feeling. Your sister and Matt have been calling us non-stop since this morning. They are threatening to cut us off from the children. I pinched the bridge of my nose. Let me guess. They are saying that if you do not convince me to keep sending them money, they will not let you see your grandchildren anymore. Exactly, Mom replied. They are trying to hold the children over our heads like leverage. Matt even had the nerve to tell us that if we do not stop you from selling the car and cutting them off, we will never see them again. I was not surprised. Matt was predictable, always using manipulation and threats to get his way. What did surprise me was how calm my mother sounded about the whole thing. Let me talk to him, I offered, already getting heated. No need, my dad cut in, taking over the call. We have got it covered. There was a calm steeliness in his voice that I had not heard in a long time. They think they have the upper hand, but they are forgetting one key detail. We are the reason they even have a house to live in. I froze. Wait, what? You did not know? Dad said. About 5 years ago, Amy and Matt could not qualify for a mortgage. We co-signed, paid most of the down payment, and have been quietly helping with the mortgage ever since. If they pull this stunt, all we have to do is stop paying, and the bank will take the house. I sat back and let it sink in. All this time I thought I was the only one keeping them afloat. Apparently my parents had done just as much, if not more. What did they say when you told them? I asked. They freaked out, Mom said, and I could almost hear her smirk. Amy started crying and said we could not possibly do this to them. Matt tried to bluff, saying we would never go through with it. But when we made it clear that we could and would sell the house, they quickly backed down. Damn, I said, laughing. You really gave them a reality check, huh? We had to, Dad replied. They have been taking advantage of us for years. It is about time they face the consequences. For the first time in a long time, I felt like we were all on the same page. My parents were not going to let Amy and Matt manipulate them anymore, and neither was I. Good, I said. They have been getting away with it for too long. After that call, there was silence from Amy and Matt. No more angry texts, no more guilty phone calls. I guess they realized their threats were not going to work anymore. Still, something told me this was not over. People like Matt did not give up that easily. There would be more games. I just did not know when or how, but at least this time I was not facing it alone. A few days later, my mother called again. I expected her to tell me that Amy and Matt were still sulking, but what she said took me completely by surprise. "Ethan, your dad and I have come to a decision," she began. "We are selling the house where Amy and Matt live." I sat up straight. "You are what? Seriously?" "Yes, we talked about it and agreed that they need a real wake-up call. We are going to sell the house and give them $10,000 as a cushion, just enough to get back on their feet. But that is it, no more handouts. They are going to have to figure out how to make it on their own from now on." For a second, I thought I had misheard. My parents had always bent over backwards for Amy. I had never seen them put their foot down like this. I mean, these were the same people who had quietly co-signed for her house, paid bills behind the scenes, and made excuses for her and Matt's behavior for years. "Well," I finally said, "I did not expect you to go this far." Mom sighed. "We should have done this a long time ago, Ethan. We thought we were helping them, but all we did was make them dependent on us. Matt has become lazy and entitled. Amy will not stand up to him because she has always had a safety net. It is time for them to learn what it is like to be responsible for themselves." "And we're really going to give them 10 grand? I asked, still trying to process. "Yes," Dad chimed in. "It is a gesture to show that we are not abandoning them. We still care about them, but they need to know that respect and gratitude are not optional. If they want to keep their relationship with us, they have to stop taking advantage of everyone." "Damn," I muttered. "You guys are going nuclear on them." "We have to," Dad said firmly. "They did not take us seriously until we threatened to sell the house, and if they pull another stunt, we are prepared to cut ties completely." Frankly, I was impressed. My parents had finally reached a breaking point. They were not just supporting me, they were sending a clear message that Amy and Matt had burned too many bridges. It felt good to know that I was not the only one holding them accountable anymore. "So, when are you going to tell them?" I asked. "Tomorrow," Mom replied. "We are going to give them the $10,000 and explain that once the house is sold, they are on their own. No more money, no more bailouts. They are going to have to learn to budget and live within their means." I could not stop smiling after that phone call. For the first time in years, I felt like my parents had my back. They were not falling for Amy and Matt's guilt or manipulation anymore. They were taking a stand, and frankly, it was about time. Later that night, I told Lauren what had happened. She grinned and said, "See? Your parents are stronger than you thought. They just needed the right push." Next, Amy and Matt have a complete meltdown when they hear the news. Let me know when you want that part. The next day, my parents called a meeting with Amy and Matt to break the news. I was not there, but I heard all the juicy details afterwards. Mom did not sugarcoat anything when she recapped the meltdown for me later that night. Apparently, it all started out civil enough. Amy and Matt showed up, probably thinking this was going to be a negotiation. Maybe they thought my parents would apologize and offer more money to make things right. They had no idea what to expect. Dad did not waste any time. He told them in no uncertain terms that they were selling the house. As soon as those words left his mouth, Amy lost it. "What? You are selling our house? You cannot do that." "This is where our children live," she screamed. "You do not own this house, Amy," Dad reminded her. "We do. And we have decided to sell it. We will give you $10,000 to help you move and start over, but that is it. After that, you are on your own." Apparently, Amy started crying right then and there. "You are kicking us out? How could you do this to us? We are family." Matt was furious. He jumped up from his seat and started pacing. "You cannot do this. You think you have all the power just because you pay the bills? That is not right. We have children to think of." Dad did not flinch. "You should have thought about your children before you spent all your money gambling and relying on us to keep you afloat." Mom chimed in. "We have supported you for years, Matt. It is time for you to take some responsibility. We are done financing your lifestyle." Matt tried another angle. "You really want to tear this family apart over money? Fine, but if you do, you will never see your grandchildren again." That was when things reached a boiling point. My mother told me later that she had never been angrier in her life. She stood up and pointed her finger at Matt. "Do not you dare threaten us with the children," she said coldly. "We bend over backwards for you too, and this is how you repay us. If you think you can blackmail us, you are wrong. Go ahead, cut us off, but do not expect a penny from us ever again." Dad backed her up. "If you try that stunt, we will sell the house faster than you can pack a suitcase. You will have nothing, and do not think for a second that Ethan or anyone else is going to bail you out." Amy broke down, sobbing uncontrollably. "Please do not do this, Dad. Mom, we have nowhere to go." Matt, realizing he was backed into a corner, tried to back away. "Look, maybe we can figure something out. We just need a little more time. I am about to get a new job. Spare us the excuses." Dad cut him off. "We have heard it all before. You have been making promises for years, and we have been giving you chances. We are done." Amy was hysterical now, begging my parents to reconsider. She begged them not to sell the house, saying they could not survive without help. But my parents were adamant. They told her they were doing this to teach her and Matt a lesson, to stop them from dragging everyone down with their irresponsibility. After a long, tense silence, Matt finally threw up his hands. "Fine," he muttered. "We will take the 10 grand, but do not expect us to come crawling back when the going gets tough." "We will not," Dad replied calmly. "But if you ever want to have a real relationship with us again, you will have to earn it through respect." Mom told me that after they left, she and Dad felt drained, but also relieved. It was as if they had finally broken free from years of manipulation and guilt. When she finished telling me all this, I shook my head in disbelief. "I cannot believe you actually stood up to them like that. I mean, I am damn impressed, but damn." "Ethan, it was not easy," she admitted. "But it had to be done. They will never learn if we keep bailing them out. We had to draw the line somewhere." "I am proud of you both," I said. "You finally did what had to be done. Hopefully this will be the wake-up call they need." "We hope so too," Dad added. "But even if it does not, at least we will not let them control us anymore. And neither should you." That was the moment I realized something important. I was not just free of Amy and Matt's control. My parents were too. They had finally broken the cycle. A few months went by and things finally started to settle down after all the chaos of selling the house. Amy and Matt had no choice but to adapt. They moved into a small rented apartment across town. From what I heard, Matt finally got a job. Nothing fancy, just a warehouse position, but for once, he was working consistently. I admit I did not expect him to stick with it, but so far he has. My parents have been true to their word. They have not given Amy or Matt a dime since that final showdown. It has been hard on them, no doubt, but they are getting by. I think being cut off from the easy money has forced them to grow up. Then, out of the blue, Amy called me. I had not heard from her since the night I took the car. At first, I did not know what to expect. Maybe more drama, or maybe another attempt to make me feel guilty. But to my surprise, she sounded different, calmer, almost modest. "Hey, Ethan," she began. "I just wanted to apologize." I did not say anything for a second, letting her continue. "I've been thinking a lot about the way I treated you. You did not deserve the things I said to you. You were always there for me, and I took advantage of that. I am really sorry." I could tell she meant it this time. There was no hidden agenda, no sob story, no manipulation, just a genuine apology. "Thank you," I finally said. "I appreciate you saying that." She hesitated for a moment. I miss having my brother in my life. We used to be close, and I want to fix that. I know things have to be different now, but I want us to have a normal relationship again." I took a deep breath and let the words sink in. I was not mad at her anymore, not really. I had already moved on from all the resentment, but I knew things could not go back to the way they were. There were limits now, and I was not going to play the role of fixer anymore. "I miss having a sister too," I admitted. "But things have to be different. I am here if you want to talk or catch up, but I am not going to support you financially anymore. That part of our relationship is over." "I know," she said quietly, "and I am not asking for that. I just want to start over." It felt good to hear those words. I knew it would not be an instant fix. We had a lot of years of bad habits to undo, but it was a step in the right direction. We have been talking again since that phone call. Slowly but surely, we are rebuilding our relationship. Amy is more grounded now, and honestly, it is a relief. It feels like I have a real sister again, not someone who just sees me as a bank account. As for Matt, I do not hear much from him. I am okay with that, as long as he keeps working and stays out of trouble. I do not really care what he does. He is Amy's problem to deal with now, not mine. My parents are happier too. Without all the stress of constantly bailing Amy and Matt out, they have had more time to focus on themselves. They have even started traveling a bit, something they always put off before. We have all learned some hard lessons, but I think we are better for it. And me? I feel free. My life is my own again. I am saving for the future, growing my business, and starting a family with Lauren. It took years of frustration and a hell of a lot of drama to get here, but I am finally in a place where I can breathe. Family is complicated, always will be, but for the first time, I feel like we are all finally moving forward. Looking back on this whole ordeal with my sister Amy and her husband Matt, I feel a whirlwind of emotions that I never saw coming. For years, I carried the weight of being the family's safety net without even realizing how heavy it had become. Helping Amy felt natural at first, instinctive even. She's my little sister, and growing up, I was always the protective big brother. We'd share secrets late at night, laugh over silly childhood memories, and I'd defend her from anyone who dared upset her. When she married Matt and things started falling apart financially, I stepped in without hesitation, paying their rent, buying clothes for the kids, covering emergencies. It all seemed like what a good brother should do. I told myself it was temporary, that Matt would get back on his feet soon, but 7 years passed, and nothing changed. Deep down, I think I was afraid of what would happen if I stopped. Would they lose everything? Would the kids suffer? Would I be the villain who abandoned his own blood? Those questions haunted me, keeping me chained to a role I never auditioned for. That fear kept me trapped longer than I care to admit. I sacrificed my own dreams. Weekends lost to extra shifts, vacations I never took, savings that never grew, because saying no felt impossible. I loved Amy too much to watch her struggle, or at least that's what I told myself. But really, it was guilt mixed with obligation, a toxic blend that made me resentful without fully acknowledging it. I'd see Matt blowing money at the casino and feel a quiet anger bubbling up, but I'd push it down. Amy's pleas always won out. She knew exactly how to pull at my heartstrings, reminding me we were family, flashing those teary eyes that reminded me of the little girl I'd always protected. And I fell for it every time, convincing myself that one more month, one more payment, would be the last. In quiet moments, I'd wonder if I was enabling their laziness, but the thought of confrontation, of shattering the family peace, was too daunting. Then Lauren entered my life, and everything shifted. She didn't judge me harshly, she just asked the questions I'd been avoiding. Why are you living for them instead of yourself? Her words pierced through my defenses like sunlight breaking through clouds. We'd lie in bed talking for hours, and she'd gently challenge my excuses, helping me see how I'd lost myself in this dynamic. For the first time I saw the truth. I wasn't just helping, I was enabling. I was working myself to exhaustion while Matt gambled away any chance of stability, and Amy chose to believe his empty promises rather than demand change. It hurt to admit, but Lauren was right. I deserved a future too, a life with her, maybe kids of our own, a business that could thrive without constant drains. Stopping the money felt terrifying at first, like jumping off a cliff without a parachute. I braced for the fallout, expecting tears and accusations, but nothing prepared me for the betrayal Amy hurled at me. Calling me selfish? A stranger? After everything I'd given, years of my hard-earned money, my time, my peace of mind? That stung deeper than I expected. It made me question if she ever saw me as a brother or just a walking ATM, someone to rely on without gratitude. When Matt threatened me, something snapped inside. The laughter that escaped me in that moment wasn't just defiance, it was liberation, a release of years of pent-up frustration. Selling the car I'd bought them was symbolic, a clean break from the chains I'd forged myself. Walking out of their house that night, I felt a rush of freedom I hadn't known in years. My heart raced, not with fear but with exhilaration. The air felt lighter, the world wider. I was finally choosing myself, reclaiming the life I'd put on hold. The family dinner was the real test. Sitting there, surrounded by tension, I felt a mix of anxiety and resolve. Amy's tears, Matt's bluster, it all tried to pull me back into the old role, guilting me with memories of better times. But when my parents sided with me, shock turned to profound gratitude. Hearing my dad say he was proud of me? That hit harder than any argument. For so long I'd felt alone in this burden, the good son who fixed everything quietly while others took it for granted. Their support validated years of silent sacrifice. It healed something in me I didn't know was broken, a deep-seated need for recognition that I'd buried under duty. The aftermath brought more surprises. Learning my parents had been enabling them too made me feel less isolated, but also a bit foolish for not seeing it sooner. When they decided to sell the house, I was stunned and proud. It wasn't cruelty, it was tough love, the kind we all needed to grow. Watching Amy and Matt's meltdown from afar stirred complicated feelings, pity for the kids caught in the middle, lingering anger at their manipulation tactics, but mostly relief that the cycle was finally breaking. I worried about the nieces and nephews, hoping this shakeup wouldn't scar them, yet knowing that true stability comes from responsibility, not endless bailouts. Amy's apology months later caught me off guard. Hearing her admit she'd taken advantage of me brought tears to my eyes in private. It wasn't just words, her voice carried real remorse, shaped by hardship. Forgiveness wasn't instant, but it was genuine. Rebuilding our relationship on equal ground feels fragile yet hopeful. We talk now about everyday things, her job hunt, the kids' school plays, without money clouding it. I miss the closeness we had as kids, but this new version, without financial strings, feels healthier, more authentic, like rediscovering the sister beneath the entitlement. Ultimately, this journey taught me profound lessons about boundaries, self-worth, and the true meaning of family. I'm no longer resentful, I'm empowered, with a clearer sense of who I am beyond the provider role. Free from the weight, I'm building the life I postponed for so long. Saving aggressively, expanding my business, planning a wedding with Lauren, with my parents thriving, traveling and enjoying their retirement unburdened, and even Amy growing into independence, I feel optimistic. Family isn't about endless sacrifice. It's about mutual respect, growth through adversity, and choosing love that uplifts everyone. I'm grateful for the pain because it led to this freedom, this wholeness. For the first time, I'm truly living for me, and it feels incredible, like breathing deeply after years underwater.